Amongst the many characters of the Demon Slayer series, outside of our main characters, one of, if not the most popular character right now, would have to be Giyu Tomioka, who happened to be the first Demon Slayer we ever saw in the series. Now, despite the character himself having been present within the series since the beginning, it wouldn't be until far later that we would receive any information on his personal beginnings. At least not directly, as we unknowingly did in fact receive a bit of his backstory early on. Now, it may not be as lengthy as that of some other characters, but with this video, we'll be taking a look at the origins of the Water Hashira, Giyu Tomioka. So Tomioka, like the vast majority of Demon Slayers, embarked on his quest due to unfortunate circumstances pertaining to demons. As a child, Giyu was raised by his older sister Sutako because unfortunately their parents had died to illness. Now thankfully their parents did actually leave behind a bit of money for the two of them, and it seems as though their family was on the verge of expansion as Sutako was engaged to be married. But sadly, the day before her wedding, a demon had converged on their home. But regardless of the prosperous future ahead of her, Sutako was selfless to the end and hid her little brother before being devoured by the creature. Now, after this horrific event, Giyu tried his best to tell the neighboring people what had happened, but nobody would believe him, and instead, they all labeled him to be mentally ill. And so to help him, they opted to send him to a family member of his who happened to be a faraway doctor. However, before making the journey, Giyu, knowing what he saw to be true, ran away. He'd at some point find himself lost in the mountains on the verge of death when a nearby hunter would rescue him and bring him to Orokodaki, who would soon make Giyu his apprentice. But Giyu wasn't the only one. At the time, Giyu was 13, and there was actually another 13-year-old in the care of Orokodaki at the time, Sabito. And yes, this is the very same Sabito that trained Tanjiro to split that massive boulder in half. And Giyu and Sabito got along swimmingly as they'd both experienced similar trauma and were once again the same age as one another. Now, Sabito was someone of exceptional character. His kindness knew no bounds and his sense of justice was infallible. And it's because of that, with one particular instance, Sabito angrily struck Tomioka. You see, while lamenting over the fate of his beloved sister, Tomioka made the remark that he'd be better off dead himself. And this really pissed Sabito off, like to the point of denouncing their friendship should this ever happen again. As to him, saying such things was an utter insult to Sutako, who'd sacrificed everything for Giyu. Sabito continued that Giyu could not die, not ever, that the precious life she gave to protect him and the future she kept intact for him would always be with him. Eventually, the time would come for the two to partake in final selection, and skill-wise, the difference between them was massive. While Tomioka was injured by a demon almost right off the bat, Sabito almost single-handedly defeated every single demon on the mountain. Which is to say that the prowess of this 13-year-old child was nothing short of legendary. I mean, this was a display of young talent only surpassed by the likes of Yorichi Tsujikuni himself. But even still, Sabito would be the only person not to complete selection that year. Sabito would go on to save Tomioka, who'd been fading in and out, and entrust him to another boy, Murata, as he ran off towards another voice in distress. When Tomioka woke up, selection was over, and he'd been selected for surviving the week, whereas his friend, Sabito, had died to the hand demon. And because of this, even despite his eventual prowess and ascension to the position of Hashira, Tomioka never considered himself to be a true pillar. He couldn't defeat even a single demon in final selection and was completely bailed out by a far greater swordsman of the same age, and so once more, Tomioka would clad himself in self-loathing and even forget the words of Sabito despite their importance because he didn't want to remember. With all that he had lost, he was so helplessly saddened that he couldn't eat, sleep, or even just stop crying, and so he locked it all away. And we actually received a taste of just how much he hated his own weakness with the first conversation he had with Tanjiro at the beginning of the series. But of course, you know the story from there. Hopefully you guys
You really